So today, we're playing the Ranger, and we are trying out a Dragon Burst build, which involves having multiple ruby chunks, 100% crit chance, and a big bowl of treats to have a chance to trigger them twice. And it does crazy things just like this, because we are only going to start off with 2 from this island. And it is going to take us quite a while. Actually, it didn't take us too long to actually stack up the damage. And you see that big massive crit? But hey, check this run out and let me know what you think of this build. Okay, let's go ahead and jump some rank games with the Ranger and see just what we can do today. Awesome first shop. We're going to be grabbing a Fortune's Hope. I'm actually going to grab this piggy bank. Let's go ahead and grab a banana. And let's roll once. And holy magic charge, do we have a magic charge shop? That is insane, actually. So for this round, we do want to craft up that torch. Now, we do want to craft up that lucky pig. So it does mean we're going to be crafting up magic torch within 2 rounds. Now, this is not a crazy round 1. We'd love to grab a whetstone, but the DPS shouldn't be too bad. We have a tiny bit of healing. We're also being a little bit greedy. Actually, our piggy bank should have been in a little bit of more optimized position. Unfortunately, what I mean by that is it should have been, our 2 lucky clovers should have been placed underneath or above. For this round, we are definitely going to craft up this magic torch. Now, do we actually want the wooden sword? Not exactly. I'm going to grab the garlic, and I do want to roll. And that's a big old banana on sale, which I'm going to reserve, and I'm going to reserve this leather bag. And we're going to move on for now. And now we're having our lucky pig target our torch, because then it has that smaller chance to actually stack up that damage, which is going to be awesome. However, can we deal this other Ranger? They do have regen and smash. We're just a little bit ahead of them, which is awesome. Just pausing the video here very quickly, just to ask you to subscribe. It really helps me out. Thanks. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, since we have the skull badge, we might as well grab it. It's going to be flicking those debuffs, which should be fantastic. Let's grab the leather bag. Let's grab our big old banana. And that's going to be a quick round for now. For sure. And we are going to move our setup around. So our lucky pig is targeting garlic along with a torch. That way we also increase the chances to remove vampirism. So if our opponent is rocking a hunger blade, just like this one, we have a higher chance, even if it is only a smaller bit of a chance, to remove that vampirism. And it's gone. So they're not going to get that healing from the hunger blade. It also decreases the damage of it. So it should be pretty good. Now the problem is, they're going to have a lot of healing with that shell totem. And they're going to scale up that damage with that relic case. But awesome. We actually managed to get a few crits just to finish off our opponents, which is fantastic. So at this point, I'm going to grab the piggy bank. I'm going to grab the lucky clover. And I'm actually going to grab this stamp sack too. And we're going to rock on with this situation. Now the problem is we don't have any mana generation, so our magic torch is actually going to not actually scale up. So this is actually a little bit weaker than actually running torch. Well, in the short term, it's actually a little bit stronger. But as the fight goes on, it's going to end up being a lot weaker until we get mana generation. However, our setup right now is looking pretty darn good. Going to begin this other Ranger. It's going to come down to whoever gets a big crit and 1 HP. Just barely surviving. But we do inflict a lot of debuffs, which is also going to be awesome. Now at this point, I'm going to craft up a tusk poker. We're going to grab another short bow. We are going to roll. And I am going to grab this fanny pack for now. And we're going to change the setup to be more like this for now. So we can craft up the tusk poker. We're increasing the speed of our garlic and our banana. And I'm going to continue roll looking for a set of blueberries. We can also take the gloves, but I'm going to leave it for now. We might actually take this fly Garrick. However, I'm actually going to sell the piggy bank in favor of actually grabbing the deck of cards. We could grab the ace of spades, not going to actually. I will reserve this leather bag, but I do want to grab the deck of cards so we can try to potentially go for some big dragons. Because big dragons with the big ball treats is straight up craziness. However, this is actually going to be quite close. But just barely scraping by. That battle rage just providing a lot for opponent. And they also had that scaling damage on that axe and claws attack, which was way more than our DPS. However, we should be in a much better spot. Let's grab this. Let's roll. And we do also want to craft up this tusk poker. I'm actually going to take out the deck of cards because I do want to roll once, twice even, to try and find any source of mana generation. Unfortunately, not finding any, which is going to be a little bit rough. That is for sure. The skull badge with the tusk poker should be pretty decent because if we pick that blinds, our opponent can't hit us, giving us a little bit longer time to stack up our spikes. And when they do eventually hit us, they're going to take that damage. As we stack up a little bit of poison, we should be in a pretty good spot. And with 5 luck, we should have 100% accuracy on our short bows. Doesn't matter with the magic torch, but it does matter with our bows. So overall, just pretty darn good. Now, we'll actually take the White Eyes Blue Dragon, because then we can get an Ice Dragon. Now, let's roll. Do we want any of these items? Not exactly, and we finally got some mana generation, that is for sure. We're going to sock it into our fanny pack, so it actually triggers a little bit faster. Now, we do want to continue to roll. We do want a Sacred Collar, and we will actually take another White Eyes Blue Dragon. And we're going to move on. Actually, before we do move on, we need to move our weapons around, because we need that scaling damage on all our weapons. From our magic torch, I mean. So we're going to change our setup to be more like this for now. Now, I'm actually going to grab this unstable recombobulator, but I'm going to let it recombobulate itself. Now, we should be in a much better position with this setup, and we're going to keep going for now. Now, we could also go for Poison Ivy with our setup, because we're going to be stacking up spikes with these little short bows, and we're also going to be inflicting a little bit of poison with that skull badge. And awesome. So far, looking pretty darn good. However, what are we going to get from our unstable recombobulator? Amethyst Steel and a shiny shell. However, I'm going to go for big ball treats, because I'm going to aim to grab some dragons. Especially with the ice dragons, it's going to be straight up nuts. Speaking of nuts, how about a squirrel? We're going to actually flip this to the side for now. Let's add this back in. Let's go ahead and grab our acorn collar. Let's grab our White Eyes Blue Dragon. I'm actually going to sell our Amethyst Steel, even though this works with the White Eyes Blue Dragon. I'm going to sell it because I do actually want to grab this Corrupted Crystal. Now, I would love to take the squirrel, so we actually start stealing some buffs too. But I'm going to leave it for now. That's a toad. That is also mana generation, which we're actually going to want to grab. So I'm actually going to sell this White Eyes Blue Dragon, unfortunately, because we are going to need that mana generation. And we're going to rock with this setup for now. Now, we do want to add our toad into this position eventually. We'll have to be this way for now. And we also want our Lucky Pig to be targeting at least one of our Tusk Pokers eventually, because it has an easier time stacking up that spikes first. We're going to continue on with this setup for now. With the big ball treats, this frog should have a 20% chance to activate twice. Stacking up our mana and our luck should be fantastic. We're scaling up our crit chance and we're scaling up our damage. And just barely outpacing the villain sword, Cheese Goober Berserker. Okay, that is a dragon. We're definitely... Did I say definitely? We're definitely taking it. I'm going to continue to roll, and I do actually want to grab this leather bag. We could also grab the Dark Lotus, that way we get a ton of mana, so our magic torch can actually start scaling immediately. We're also going to add in our Lucky Pig over Lucky Clover, because this is going to be 2 luck, and it's going to give us an extra gold per round. So unfortunately, we're going to have to move on. Now, we are going to be a lot weaker adding in this Dragon's Egg, because we spent a lot of golds. We don't get a whole lot for it. We just got 4 heats. Doesn't really improve our builds until we hatch it, so unfortunately we're going to end up losing a life. However, let's grab a leather bag. Let's grab this carrots. Let's roll. And we are definitely going to grab this hammer to reduce opponent's healing. And we're going to grab the stamina sack also. And we're going to move on with this setup. And we'll see how this goes for now. With the Lucky Pig and the deck of cards, we are going to have 4 luck, so our cards are actually going to start stacking in power, which further increases our weapon damage on top of it. So we should be able to deal a lot of damage, and honestly, just awesome. Our opponent is rocking a super interesting build with Excalibur, with Mr. Struggles. The problem is they need way more mana generation. But so far, this is looking pretty good, and we are 100% going for Ice Dragon. Without a doubt, that's exactly what we're going for. However, I'm going to continue to roll, or we could go for Ruby Chunk instead. Let's grab the Hollow Fire Lizard for now. Let's go ahead and roll. That's another Hollow Fire Lizard. I'm thinking we're going to go for Ruby Chunk since we have 2 of these. And we can grab an eye lamp on top of it for even more heat stacking. However, let's go ahead and grab this for now. Let's go ahead and craft up this Ruby Chunk. Let's actually sell this banana so we can actually grab this eye lamp too for some scaling damage. And let's reserve our Hollow Fire Lizard, and we're going to move on with its setup. So that way we do have that crit chance on our Ruby Pulp. And that's another Cubert, by the way. With Blood Turn, they're going to be scaling that up pretty quick. But our damage is going to be insanely good right now. However, they're actually bringing it back, and it was actually way closer than it should have been. I actually want to check our DPS right now. In 10 seconds, our DPS right now is about 37 DPS. With 377 damage done in 10 seconds. Heals non-existent. block, really not that great. So we just need to continue improving our DPS or try to get a little bit tankier for now. With Root Chunk, we should be in a much better position. That's for sure. Let's grab a Hollow Fire Lizard. Let's roll. You could grab another Toad for even more scaling mana. And also Luck. I'd love to take it, but I'm going to roll on for now. I'm actually going to grab this Fanny back. I do want to continue moving on. I want to continue to roll, and I do try and find another Ruby Chunk or another Ruby Egg that we can craft up this Ruby Chunk. Or another Dragon. Because with the big ball treats, our Ruby Chunk is going to have a 20% chance to activate twice. Which should be fantastic. We'd also love to get to that 12 heat mark as well. Because then we have a 30% chance to stun our opponents. Which is going to be quite significant. We're going to continue on. Now we could take the eye lamp to help try to achieve that heat second. Because we are only going to start off with 2 from this eye lamp. And it is going to take us quite a while. Actually, it didn't take us too long to actually stack up the damage. And you see that big massive crit from our Ruby Chunk? That was quite insane. And before we move on, in 5 seconds we managed to deal 222 damage with 40 DPS. Which is pretty darn good. And I do believe we can actually continue on with this setup. Now I'm thinking we're going to grab a Hedgehog. We're going to roll. We can grab another Acorn Color. However, that's going to be another Dragon, which we are 100% going to grab. That is going to be pretty darn good. And we're going to go for multiple Ruby Chunks. As much as we can grab, that should be insanely good. But first of all, we are definitely going to need that stamina sack. Now, unfortunately, we're going to need to sell one thing. So we're going to sell our Hedgehog, unfortunately, so we can grab our Ruby Egg. Now, I am going to reserve the Acorn Color because I do want more crit chance. But we're going to continue on with this setup. Now, again, we're going to be in a little bit of more rough spot by grabbing this Ruby Egg. That is for sure. But with Time Dilator, our opponent is actually going to reduce our attack speed. However, it's going to be quite close, but can we burst him down? 2 HP in a dream. Big massive crit to finish off opponents. Madness. For sure. 40 DPS in 10 seconds. Not too bad. And you see that Ruby Chunk dealing the vast majority of it. Our weapon damage is actually not that great, to be honest. So for now, let's grab our Acorn Color. Let's go ahead and roll. Let's keep rolling for now. Let's grab this Stamina Sack too. Now, do you want to continue rolling? I'm just trying my best to find another Ruby Egg. And unfortunately, I think we're finished rolling for right now. So I think we're going to move on with the setup. And we didn't really get too much stronger, to be quite honest. However, we should have 100% crit chance, well, close to 100% crit chance on Ruby Chunk. So that Ruby Chunk is going to be doing massive damage. Insane damage. However, now that we've got our second Ruby Whelp, we should be in a fantastic spot. But before we do move on, I do want to try and find some extra storage. And also still trying to find that Ruby Egg. That's another Hollow Fire Lizard, which we are going to grab. Let's keep moving. And that's all we can really do. I'm actually going to grab another Lucky Clover just to get a little bit more accuracy from the very beginning. That should be pretty darn good. And I do want to change our whole setup around, so I'll be back in a second while we do that. And with that, we managed to change our whole setup around. So our Acorn Color is going to be the center of our builds, being around our Ruby Chunk and our Ruby Whelp and our weapons. With our second Acorn Color focusing mainly our dragons for now because they're going to be a big source of burst damage. We have our Toad in this position now. I'd much prefer having it basically target our big ball treats because that gives us the most amount of buffs. Along with the Ruby Chunk. Now we did start to prioritize our Lucky Pig targeting our Ruby Chunk. That way we have an increased chance to stun our opponents. Now unfortunately we won't be able to get another Ruby Chunk because this is going to be final rounds to craft Ruby Chunk. Because if we find one in the next shop, it's going to take 2 rounds, so we'll hatch it on the final rounds, and then we can't craft it. So unfortunately, we're going to have to move on with this setup. And this is going to be pretty darn good. However, our opponent is rocking a pumpkin. They are going to be dealing massive damage too, and they're going to have that chance to stun us. But look at that DPS. That DPS has increased significantly, adding in that Ruby Chunk. In 6 seconds, we managed to deal 70 DPS, compared to our opponent's 80 DPS, which is madness. And once we get our Ruby Chunk in with this setup, it is going to go even more crazy. So we are going to be grabbing as much Ruby Chunks or much Hollow Fire Lizards as possible We're going to be grabbing this little purse, and we can add this in too. And also, we're going to be taking Hedgehog too, because we have 2 Tuskpokers. We're going to be stacking up a little bit of spikes, which is not going to be too bad. And we could also take the pineapple just to help with our spike stacking. So I'm actually going to reserve it, and we're going to move on once again. And we'll see how this goes for now. Our opponent is going to be removing our buffs with Mr. Struggles. They are also going to be turbo stacking a lot of buffs. But look at that DPS. Pretty big damage from 2 ruby chunks. Holy moly, that's actually insane. 90 DPS, dealing 700 damage within 7 seconds. And now imagine if you actually had more of these ruby chunks. With the big bullet treats, they have a 20% chance to activate twice, with 100% accuracy, with 100% crit chance. It's pretty darn good. And we'll just see how much damage our Hedgehog actually added to our build. 21 damage within 7 seconds. So overall, just piling up that damage, even though it's only small bits here and there, still going to be pretty good. We're going to take that pineapple. We're going to take Prismatic Orb. We are going to roll. Let's roll once more. I do want this storage pretty badly. Now the pineapple actually isn't going to add too much to our DPS. It will increase our Hedgehog's damage. It will also increase our spike damage. But it's not going to go turbo insane. So unfortunately, I'm going to take out our White Eyes Blue Dragon. That way we can add in a Prismatic Orb. That way we get our Magic Torch scaling up a little bit quicker. Just adding to our DPS just a small bit even. And we're going to move on. And we could sell our Tuskpokers in favor of grabbing a Fancy Fencing Rapier, because we do have a toad to scale up that luck. And honestly, that would be a good way to increase our DPS. However, our opponent actually is going to outplay us because they do have that Dragon Scale Armor, preventing our damage by quite a bit. I see our damage actually went down from previously from dealing 90 DPS down to 66 DPS. So they actually punish us quite hard because we don't really have defenses. We've no real block. We've no real heals. So unfortunately, if we're not bursting down our opponents, which the Berserker does counters, we are not actually going to win, unfortunately. Even though these ruby chunks have crazy damage, it's still not going to be enough. Now that is a ruby egg, which I would love to take. Now we could just take it for the 4 heats, just so we can get to that 30 heats a lot quicker. It does take up a lot of storage though. And we could also take this Fool card, which does give us 1 power, which would increase the damage on our ruby chunks along with all our weapons. I think I'm going to grab the Fool card. Let's roll once. And that's another Prismatic Orb I actually do not want to grab. However, I'm going to take this little bit of storage for now. We can add this back in. And we can add that in too. And then we can switch our cards around just a little bit so we can get this going a lot better. Getting a little bit of block from our White Eyes Blue Dragon. Now I'm going to situate our Prismatic Orb in this position. It's only going to give us 2 mana. Now this wasn't the best buy, but it was on sale. So I'm not going to complain about it. And we could also grab the bird. That way we increase the speed of our ruby chunks rather than using the eye lamp for scaling damage on them. Or we could take out our cards, add in our eye lamp, but that card is stacking up that in power first. Or we could take out our lucky pig, but that is going to be 2 luck for us too. However, let's roll for now. That's all we can really do as right now. Alternatively, we can take out 1 luck just to have a Prismatic Orb in this position. Now it is only still going to give us 2 mana, but we do get to keep our whole setup rounds, and this should be a lot better. Now we'll see. Are we going to get punished for rocking this type of builds, or can we win out? We're hoping not to find a Berserker. Now we did find ourselves a Ranger, who is going to be stealing our buffs with Squirrels. They're going to be stacking at max life with that Thornbloom. For the first few seconds of fight, they're going to have a lot of damage mitigation with that helmet. However, look at that damage. Honestly, smashing in 7 seconds of fight. These dragons are awesome. For sure. In 7 seconds, dealing 584 damage, 82 DPS. Just overall fantastic. Just overall fantastic. And we literally could have changed out our Magic Torch Tuskpoker and Tuskpoker for a different set of weapons, as these weapons are more of a scaling type of build. So we could have changed it out for Falcon Blade and just made those ruby chunks go turbo fast instead. That's one way we could have improved this build quite differently. Or we could have replaced these weapons, or even had our scaling on our ruby chunks, because they activate twice. 20% chance to activate that twice. Or we could have just replaced our weapons for Vampiric Armors, just being a lot more tanky overall. We could have got rid of our Magic Torch, added in a bunch of Glowing Crowns, just like these guys, to give us invulnerability. That way it would also have more defenses, because right now we have barely any heals, non-existence, barely any block. But if we're dealing lots of damage, we don't really need block, or heal. Unless we get punished pretty hard like we did against that Berserker. Because there definitely is a way to counter burst builds, for sure. Especially if you rock these Captain's Comforts. Now opponents actually wasn't rocking a stone helmet. If they had that stone helmet, we would have been in a much worse position because they would have a chance to prevent those crits. However, this build was a ton of fun and turned out to be pretty awesome. I would have loved to seen at least 4 or 5 ruby chunks in this whole setup, and that would have been crazy insane for sure. But anyways, we did survive 4 lives left. Let's just see how much rank points you got running this builds. Plus 14 rank is up quite a bit. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here for now. Just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And I hope you look out for the next one. See you next time.